Hello YouTube. Today I'll be showing you a Ripper Demon Slayer guide. Now if you're a hardcore Iron Man, first of all, do not do this task because the demons have a one-hit KO ability. I know it is kind of easy to avoid, but sometimes lag is bound to happen, so yeah, this is an instant kill ability that you cannot avoid if you don't move out of the way. So anyways, this requires 96 Slayer. They are located in the cave underneath the Abbey Citadel. So in order to get there, you need to take the Alcreate Lodestone, then run southeast and jump down the rocks and enter the cave to your east. So I'm just gonna get to the mechanics, and that is very important to know. They're very dangerous Slayer creatures, and they have a very high HP. They also attack rapidly and accurately using melee attacks. There are 4 special attacks it uses. When you kill a demon, it actually spins rapidly, hitting you every tick you're around. So just don't go near the demon until it stops spinning. There's also a yellow adrenaline bar above its head, and when it reaches full, it may sometimes jump in the air, and when it does land on you, it will one-hit KO you. Now this cannot be avoided with protection prayers or resonance. However, you can avoid this simply by moving out of the way. The shadow on the bottom will indicate its landing spot, so you just want to move a few squares away from the shadow spot. Ideally, you just want to move northeast. If you do move too far away from melee distance, it will try to teleport stalk you and use the Slaughter ability. And for anyone who doesn't remember, Slaughter ability is a really strong melee bleed ability, so always stay in melee distance. If your HP is under 35%, they will become aggressive, so always keep your HP above the threshold. Alright, so I'm just getting into my equipment setup, and although they're weak to earth spells, I do highly suggest you use melee here because it's a lot safer. So for my main hand, I have a Darklight, and this does more damage than Drygor's or Scythe. I highly suggest you get the upgraded version, which is by completing the Dimension of Disaster for the full upgrade. The offhand I have is just any Drygor weapon, and it has Precise perk on it. Then I have the Slayer helmet, although you can get the corrupted version, but I don't have that corrupted version. So for my body, I'm using Augmented Torva, and I highly suggest you use that or above. Some people would use Malevolent for extra defense. You don't need tank armor here, but at least a high tier power armor should be fine. I have Enhanced Devoted 3 and Biting 2 plus Mobile perk on it. I highly suggest you use the Devoted perk. For the bottom, I do suggest you use Augmented Torva, although Bandos is fine to save money if you want. The perk I have is Demon Slayer and Genocidal, as well as Crackling 3, and this adds an insane amount of damage. The boots and gloves I use are Bandos. You can use Death Touch Bracelet to reflect back the damage, since yeah, the demons do hit you rapidly, but they kinda cost too much to repair in my opinion. Now this amulet is really important, and that is Amulet of Souls. This helps you increase the effectiveness of Deflect melee, and this makes it better at tanking attacks basically. I know you're 100% accurate, but don't use Amulet of Zealots here, cause it's really dangerous if you don't have the defense. I also suggest you have Leviathan Ring, because it really helps you tank even more. There really isn't always enough tanking, but even then, you can still use Surgeon's Ring or Luck of the Dwarves if you don't mind. So this is also important as well, and your only healing source, and that is Scrimshaw of Vampirism. This heals HP as you damage. While they do deal a lot of damage, they also have very high HP, and because Darklight hits them really hard, you can really heal back enough damage using this. Vampirism Aura is also recommended here, because it also provides you some secondary healing. Inspiration or Penance Aura is also fine as well. Don't use Berserk Aura, because a defense decrease is going to be really harmful. First of all, don't bring aggression potions, because you're going to be fighting these one-on-one. So yeah, what I brought is Holy Overloads, Weapon Poison ++. Although demons do drop these sometimes, I brought a few replenishment potions, a few prayer potions, and you also want to bring at least 7 pieces of Shark or better, because if you do reach under the 35% threshold, they will start piling on you. Then I have Spring Cleaner and Alk Runes, because yeah, they do drop a lot of rune items. The Gem Bag is also helpful here to store the Dragon Stones they drop fairly often. Then I have Ring of Vigor, and then I also have Enhanced Excalibur, which is an extra healing source. I also do suggest you bring an emergency teleport, which I have Max Cape, but for non-max players just use Ectophile or a teleport tablet. You can bring a Toon Ectoplasmator to get extra prayer XP, and it's optional, but honestly, the Ghostly Essence is really expensive. Then I have Charming Imp, and that is stored in my tool belt, which I bought for Slayer points. And last thing I have is Legendary Pet. Although you can bring a Steel Titan instead for extra DPS, but the auto loot feature really does add a little bit of profit per hour. And yeah, self-looting can be really hard because of their mechanics. The prayers I have is either the Turmoil, or you can get the new tier 99 prayer. Then for protection prayers, you want to use Deflect Melee. Never use Soul Split here, because you cannot heal back enough of the damage. For my action bar, I'm using a dual wield melee setup. The first ability I have is Decimate, then Seaver, then Fury, and make sure you cancel that on the last tick, then Havoc, Slice, and Sacrifice. You want to keep Tuska's Wrath on the side, because it can really deal up to 15k damage. Barge can be helpful for transitioning between each demon. Keep Freedom just in case they slaughter you to clear the bleed ability. For thresholds, my main two thresholds are Destroy and Assault. You can also slaughter them and step underneath them for even nice bleed damage. As a fourth threshold, you can also use Blood Tendrils for even more bleed damage, but then again, you do take a little bit of damage. And the last threshold I would use is Devotion, and you want to use it sometimes to prevent trouble. As for ultimates, you may want to use Berserk or may not. It can be dangerous if it's not done properly, because they hit really hard, although you can really kill them fast if you use Berserk properly. Alright, this section is going to be really long, and this is the strategy. First, keep Auto Retaliate off, just in case. Start in the middle of the first room, and build up your adrenaline to use thresholds to deal massive damage. Try to kill the demon as fast as possible to avoid reaching its full adrenaline bar. And yeah, you should only be focusing on one Ripper demon at a time. So when a Ripper demon is about to die, look for a demon that's further away from this, and barge to the next demon. If barge is on cooldown, just use Surge. Otherwise, just run to the next demon that isn't very close to the dying Ripper demon. So yeah, because of this, it avoids the spinning damage. When a demon is about to reach its full adrenaline bar, start being aware and cautious, because as soon as it jumps, you want to run a little northeast, but not too far. The demon landing spot is usually southwest. After it lands, just use barge to avoid the slaughter. Sometimes there's a bug that no matter how many times you click, your character somewhat gets stuck, and I've actually died a few times because of this. But really, just keep spam clicking until your character actually moves as soon as it jumps. Always keep your HP above 35%, or at least try to keep it 50% or more of your max HP, just to avoid them from being close to aggressive to you. Devotion can really help when you're at lower HP. And so in order to save adrenaline and add time to your devotion, basically when a demon dies, move away from the demon, and then immediately activate devotion. It will sometimes not consume the 15% adrenaline, and it will also add 5 extra seconds. If devotion is on cooldown and you have low HP, start eating up. The Ripper demons do drop sharks commonly, so you can try to pick it up and eat it. And whenever you're using Berserk, always pot up your adrenaline. Then use the 2 big thresholds, Destroy and Assault, for fast damage. You want to avoid using Berserk when Adrenaline Pot is on cooldown. Anytime you see multiple demons attacking you at once for whatever reason, I kinda do suggest you use your emergency teleport, because this can be really dangerous focusing on 2 demons at once. But I mean, if you're really confident, just kill them one at a time or something. So don't ever bother looting unless it's a valuable drop manually, because it's really dangerous when you move while the demon is attacking you, or when it's spinning to death. And last but not least, sometimes your character seems pinned to a Reaper demon even after it dies. You may notice that it sometimes turns around even though you clicked to move away. I'm not sure whether it's a bug or it's intentional, but it really sucks when you have to spam click to move away from a jumping demon especially. So I'm just getting into the drops. And the drops you're mainly looking for, well, for most people sometimes, is the minor journals. This is a Master Quest Cape requirement, and there are 5 journals total plus 1 diary. They drop at approximately 1 in 100 chance. Now make sure you read each journal after you obtain it, or else you cannot obtain the next journal. The profit per hour is actually pretty okay. You mostly get Wine of Zamrax, coal, and herbs, all noted. The rune items are also dropped fairly commonly as well. Occasionally you can get Ripper Claws, but I mean they're worth under 3 mil nowadays. So really, expect 3 to 4 mil profit per hour without the Ripper Claws. The only major cost factor is the Scrimshaw of Vampirism. As for charms, they're actually extremely amazing. Now I didn't record the charms, but based on the Wikia, they drop them fairly commonly and 4 at a time. You can expect 300 Crimson Charms per hour and 200 Blue Charms per hour, which is really nice, right? So overall this task took me 26.5 minutes, and I killed 97 Ripper Demons. This equates to 220 kills per hour, and the melee combat XP per hour is 475k. The Slayer XP per hour is a staggering 600k Slayer XP per hour. It is really amazing for Slayer XP. Terrible for combat XP, but I mean people are going for 120 Slayer, so yeah, this is probably going to be a task that's worth doing for the most part. I have seen people claim that they can kill 250 of these per hour, and I don't know how, but I think using Steel Titan really helps here. But really, I value profit with XP together, balanced. So honestly, I know a lot of you would skip or block this task because of its difficult mechanics, and I know it's a struggle, but over time you will get used to it, and I hope my explanation can really help with this, because yeah, they're really worth it for their Slayer XP and their charms. It requires a lot of attention really, and it can get risky. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask.